Well, another domino has fallen for Clemson's 2026 recruiting class. We've been kind of waiting on this particular position group to finally show some dividends on the trail. Um, Nick Eason finally gets a guy in Cameron Cody, 2026 high three-star recruit out of Benedictine Military School in Savannah, Georgia. This is a really, really strong commit for Clemson in a time where, you're going to have a lot of guys leaving after this year. There's quite a few other big time defensive line prospects that Clemson has on its radar, but they get that first one. It's a big deal. And Cameron Cody, he is very much in uh, the Grady Jarrett, Tyler Davis type of tree of defensive tackles that Clemson has had over the years in terms of, kind of the undersized, guy that can play three technique, but he's really, really athletic, and you'll see that in his tape. Um, and I think that Clemson's going to getting a really, really good football player that's going to have he's going to have to come in and put on some weight. I think he's listed at 6'2", 285. You probably want to get him probably at least 10 pounds, 10, 15 pounds up on him. But the film speaks for itself. I mean, he is really, really twitchy. He can play. He plays along the defensive line in these clips. So TPC, kind of, what do you see from him as far as a prospect is concerned? Because I see a guy that I think with a couple of years of development could be a really, really phenomenal player for you. Um, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, man. You see a guy that is definitely physical at the point of attack. You saw him just a couple clips ago, just kind of toss that offensive or that left tackle to the side, that offensive tackle. So you see the strength that he possesses already at 6'2", 285 pounds. Again, when he gets on campus to Clemson, they're obviously going to put some weight on him. He's going to be a defensive tackle. But in high school, you really see his athleticism on display. He lines up all over the defensive line. He lines up outside. He lines up inside. His power is evident. You see him eating blocks there and blowing up running lanes. And you see that time and time again when you're watching his tape. He does it over and over again. And he's a guy that rushes the passer really well, both from the interior and on the outside of the defensive line in high school. So something that's probably going to translate pretty well to the college level. I love his first step. I love how he just kind of manhandles the offensive line, pushing them back into the quarterback at times, shedding blocks really well, eating blocks, keeping his linebackers clean. So this guy's really got the whole package, I think. And you mentioned a Grady Jarrett, you mentioned a Tyler Davis, and he's definitely in that vein of defensive lineman, a guy with a really high upside for the Tigers. Again, only a 3-star according to a guy that can be a big difference maker for the Tigers in the future, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And he has quick hands. You mentioned the quick step. I mean, this is what you kind of look for, and a guy that plays along the defensive line in high school. It really gives you the opportunity to see him move a good bit. When he's lined up as an edge rusher, you see the twitchiness. You see the ability to get to the passer. Um, Clemson has traditionally done really well with those types of players. And I think that he's going to be one that can really develop for you. And this was a recruitment that I think Clemson was very much, you know, they had been on Cameron Cody for a while, and there was just a very natural affinity between him and the school and then the coaching staff. And it made a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. And he had other suitors, some other big time suitors. Tennessee, Miami were also heavily involved with him, but Clemson always seemed to be the school that was constantly brought up and consistent throughout his recruitment. And I think it's going to pay dividends for this class, and it's a good first piece to add to this defensive line class. And as I mentioned, Clemson is still in it for quite a few other talented defensive line prospects. Bryce Perry White, Dre Quinn. This is a very imperative class because, as I mentioned, you're going to have some big pieces leaving after this year. Think of Peter Woods and T.J. Parker and Will. The transfer will help. You're even, and some of your depth pieces are older too. And DeMonte Capehart. So it's important that Clemson really, really lands and does a really phenomenal job with this class, with this defensive line class in particular. For that reason. And I think Kameron Cody is going to bring a lot to this group as far as potential is concerned. I'm not sure he's a guy that's going to come in and start for you right away, but
Right.
I think, this is a guy that under the tutelage of Nick Eason, I think could develop into a really, really good football player for you. But we will continue to talk about, as these commits continue to come in. It's been kind of a slow past couple of weeks,
Yeah,
relatively.
absolutely. Well, when you think about it, this is really the eighth commit out of that elite weekend back on March 8th. So this is now the eighth commit that is a direct correlation of that weekend. And you get a guy in Kameron Cody that shut it down right before he was about to start his official weekend, or his official visit slate starting next week. He had a bunch of visits on his schedule, and he goes ahead and shuts it down for the Tigers. So good pickup by Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, he has been, probably just a huge proponent for Clemson, really, since even when he committed the Hayes Fawcett graphic. They'll have like a little quote or something
Right.
along with the graphic. He said, "I've been home since 7th grade." So I mean, I think that tells you kind of how long he's had his eye on the Tigers, and kind of this is kind of where he wanted to be. So this has certainly been a class of culture fits. If you just look at this group of guys, they all seem to be of a similar mold and mindset in terms of their belief in what Clemson has to offer, from academics to the culture, and the development, the track record of development. I mean, that all of that seems to have done Clemson a lot of favors with this class, and I think this is a really special group that you're seeing come together. And listen, Clemson's not done. I've heard some really good things that might be coming soon in the this coming month, and obviously, before we get to the official visit weekend, April is seeming it could be shaping up to be a pretty good month for the Tigers. So we will continue to be here and talk about it as these commits continue to roll in. And of course, we go live every Wednesday on the All In Show at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So y'all check us out then. We talk recruiting there, and also a ton of spring practice and other things about college football. So if you're new to the channel, feel free to check us out. But until then, I'm Jordan Bowman. He's Tiger Paul Craven. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.